We have another question that came in here, and it says we've been speaking a lot about larger volume, ocean freight type commodity shipments. How, if at all, do some of these concerns that we talk about apply to air freight? Specifically, maybe expensive artwork or scientific equipment, things that are maybe very, very valuable, fragile. Can you kind of talk us through, like the question said, there's a lot of talk that we've done today so far on ocean freight, but if we kind of shift gears for a minute and talk a little bit about air freight, does it work the same? Kind of walk us through that.
Sure. Again, as we stated, not all policies are created equally. And if you do not have someone who has a very comprehensive, broad policy, such as Scarborough, you may think you're going to get the exact same coverage on an air shipment that you would get on an ocean shipment. And that might not be the case. There may be different limits, there may be different exclusions. On the Scarborough policy, I can certainly tell you that air shipments are handled the way that the cargo shipments are handled. So the policy is very broad. It is set up to allow ocean shipments as well as air shipments and domestic shipments as well. So again, you want to be very, very sure that you're able to know exactly what type of coverage you're getting. And by insuring it through you guys, they're going to know exactly what they're getting. And you're going to be able to assure them that they're going to get exactly the coverage they need. And it does go across the board.
And I would just add to that, I believe that insuring air freight shipments is as important, if not more important, than shipping high volume ocean shipments, because whenever we're talking about a high volume ocean exporter or importer, usually we're talking about containerized freight, and containerized freight is generally handled when it's put into the container, and then it's handled when it's taken out of the container. Whenever you're dealing with small pieces, air freight, you mentioned valuable artwork, these things are going to be handled multiple times. They're going to go through different hubs. They're going to go through different CFS, container freight stations, different consolidation, deconsolidation points, and they're going to be handled roughly. There's not always a unitization involved in air freight the same way that there is with containerized freight. So I think that on the good side, usually an air shipment, the duration of the exposure is shorter, obviously. Instead of, a 30-day transit, you might be looking at, a 3-hour transit. However, I think that the intensity of the handling can be much different in an air freight shipment, and really, really speaks to the importance of insuring goods that are shipped by air freight.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point, because a lot of, if I look at our client base who purchases insurance through Scarborough, it's 95% of those are ocean freight shippers, not air freight shippers. And I think you bring up a really good point when you talk about the amount of handling that happens. I think you could also liken that to your standard LCL programs that kind of bring cargo in through the west or the east coast. That cargo gets deconsolidated, reconsolidated, moved further inland to get deconsolidated and then delivered finally. And so you're looking at all those people touching that cargo, and that just raises risk for damage. And so I think that air freight and those shippers should really take a hard look at this to see maybe there are some better options out there for them as far as insurance goes.